Hey everyone, welcome back to another video with me. I'm Nikki and I'm helping you sew things for your friends and family. Today we are going to make a book cover for a book. Simple book cover. A beginner can actually do this. If you are new to sewing, don't freak out. You can do this. So this is what we're going to be doing today. Book covers, you can put a thin book in these covers, or you could actually put an even thicker one. Okay, so look at this, just with flaps. And you can stick your book in here, a way to protect your book. It's padded, it's nice, it's soft. And this one that we're going to make today is going to be for a 6x9. I left this cover on here just because, but you can take off a cover from your book and just use the cover itself. The dimensions that I'm going to use are for a 6x9 book. However, you can have a few different options in terms of the thickness of the book that you put into these book covers. Okay, so grab your materials and let's get started. Let's do some creative stuff. Okay, right now I have my materials here. Okay, I have my outer fabric. Nope, that's my liner. I have my outer fabric. I have already applied my interface to the outer fabric just for, saving time. I've used Fusible Fleece, and that information is down below, so you can get the information from there, or you can get it from off of the blog. And then I have two separate pieces for the outer fabric, which are going to be these flaps right here. I did not put interface on mine. After making several of these, I found there was really no need to. However, you can do so if you would like to. I did not see that it affects the quality of the actual book cover. Okay, it's not holding anything. There's no pocket on it, so therefore there was no need to add it. And I just like the opportunity to be able to bend it a lot easier, okay, when putting the book in. So the first thing we want to do, we are going to prepare our flaps. And this is going to be pretty simple to do. Okay, the only thing we want to do, get our material wrong sides together. We're so used to putting right sides together, but in this case, we are preparing the flaps. And so we're still going to be sewing them raw edges with raw edges, but we want to just prepare these to go on the book. Now, keep in mind, if you are using a fabric that, that may require you to pay attention to the pattern, you want to do that. Pay attention to how you place them onto the fabric, because you don't want one upside down, or you don't want it to be upside down from your main cover, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Okay, so I have this right here. Okay, I have the two portions that are folded, one there, the fold. Grab your lining fabric. The lining fabric does not need any interface. Okay, again, you can you can put some if you want to. I've made a few of these. I don't see any need to put interface on the lining fabric. We're going to prepare these flaps. Okay, we are preparing this portion right here. So as you can see, this material here, it doesn't matter which way it's facing. Okay, but this material, this is important as to which way my flaps are facing. Two reasons. One, we need your raw edges to be placed with raw edges. Okay, raw edge to raw edge. Okay, and two, because we want to make sure that when this opens, your patterns are facing the correct way. They have to be facing the same way for when you put on your actual outer fabric. So look at this. What I don't want to do, see my folds are going, they're facing inside, right? Facing inside. What we don't want to do is put this on. So if I go like this, you notice this, my fabric, the writing is the same way. You want to make sure you don't do this because obviously then your pattern pieces will be upside down when you open the book, okay? When you open your cover. Okay, before we get to that, let's go ahead, get your machine ready, and let's put a top stitch. I didn't do this with these here. I just didn't see a need to, but I love top stitching. So let's just go ahead and on both of them, on the folded edge, okay, let's top stitch 1/8 of an inch down both of the flaps. Okay. And I'm sewing 1/8 of an inch, but I'm also sewing on 3.0 for my stitching. So this is not the main body of the fabric, which is why I'm not really concerned with having an interface. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Okay, so as you can see, we now have a pretty top stitching finish there. So let's prepare this in order to close this up. This is such a fun, quick, easy gift for that bibliophile in your life. Okay, if you take public transportation, if you live in a city, you don't want people looking at your stuff, what you're reading, this is it. This is perfect. Okay, so right now we are going to go ahead and get this prepared for closure. You could put a simple pin on each side just to hold the flaps down. Ah, well, that's interesting. Getting another pin. Okay. All right, now pretty side to pretty side, my outer fabric right on top. And again, I'm watching that pattern placement. Too bad I didn't do this one for you guys before the holidays. This would have been a really cool quick gift that you can pull together for someone. But don't worry, Valentine's Day is coming. And if you get someone you love a journal, right? I'm actually going to use some denim and I'm going to put Cricut and I'm going to stamp a design on the front. You can give them a journal. You can give them a plain writing book or something. Okay, at this point, all we want to do is sew all around all four sides at the bottom. Leave your about 4 inches, leave it open so that you can close this up. Now, one more option for you, okay? If you want to have a ribbon, if you want to have like a, you know, when you're reading your book, okay, here we go, book. If you want to place like a ribbon in the middle so that you have a natural bookmark instead of having to fold the pages or, you know, have a bulkier bookmark, something, you can actually close it at the top of your book cover, right? Close it at the top of your book cover because you can slide ribbon right in between. And that way, when you close the book, you have ribbon. But if you're going to do that, make sure you do it. I'll show you. So here's my top, right? Make sure you do it at the top. And if you're going to do that, make sure you put the ribbon somewhere around here away from these from the corners. Okay, this is where the spine of the book will lie, you know, when it's closed. Okay, so put your ribbon somewhere here. Okay, all right, so I'm going to leave mine at the bottom because again, I'm not putting a ribbon for a natural bookmark. Okay, I'm going to sew all around 3 sides, leave about 4 inches so that you can turn it right side out. And of course, backstitch. When you go over the portion, I can feel the flap part right here. When you go over the flap part, just give it a little extra love because those flaps will be pulled. Just gave it a little extra love with the back stitching. You're almost done with this project. Go ahead and clip those corners. Clipping those corners to reduce the bulk. Corners are clipped. Everything looks great. Go ahead and turn it right side out. The only thing you want to make sure is when you turn this right side out, okay, grab so that your pocket piece, okay, is on the right hand side. Pocket piece. Because it's going to want to turn, your flaps are going to want to stay attached to the front, but you'll see what I mean in just a moment. Be careful of your pins. I just took mine out. This is where we grab the handy dandy chopstick. Get a chopstick or any turner that you have. Poke out those corners. Be careful with your poking if you think that you're going to poke too hard. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm using my chopstick and I am actually just running it along the seam so that I make sure that all of the seams are going to lie flat. Doing the same thing here. Poke, poke, poke. You can also roll your seams, but last corner. All right. So this is what we have right now. It may look like it wants to curl, but that's because we didn't flatten the seam yet. Okay, we didn't flatten it yet, but this is what we have, okay, so far. We're going to close this up now, but what I like to do, let me tell you something. What I like to do is I like to iron this first before I'm doing the top stitching. Before we get to that point, my flaps here, the finished dimensions are at 3 inches. If you want your flaps to be wider, okay, just increase the size of the width of the material that you used. Okay, so increase the width of the measurement that I gave you. And when you fold it over, you can just add on another inch if you want to. Again, these come out to be a finished 3 inches. I like that. Okay. The beauty of sewing is that you get to personalize it for what you like. Okay, we're going to prepare this now. Prepare this for top stitching. Oh. Okay, go ahead and flatten out those edges. Okay, We're going to force those seams to lay flat. You'll be able to whip this up. You'll be able to whip this up really quickly. It's like a 15-20 minute project. Okay, very simple there. Now I'm going to prepare the closing portion here. Just clipping off these stragglies, this fabric, the lining phrase. This is actually home decor fabric. You can get, it's just a little thicker, obviously, and a little bit more durable than regular cotton. So you can use home decor fabric or cotton canvas as well. Okay, folding this under for that closure. When I'm doing things upside down, you can't see the bottom. I'm leaning over looking because, of course, I'm not a professional. Okay. There we go. Fold it under. And I like to iron it to get flattened. I used 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I like it because if it wasn't so thick, meaning I'm flipping this so I can see it. Okay, and pull this out a little bit. The Fusible Fleece rolls a little bit when you iron it, but otherwise, I love the way when you use 1/4 inch seam allowances, the seams fold themselves. Okay. We are ready to put a top stitching and be done with this. Okay. This is where if you choose to put the ribbon right next to, okay, you see this? So half and half, I'm just going to, this is where you, where your ribbon would be inside if you actually chose to put a ribbon, you know, with raw edges to raw edges, so that when you put it in the book, you know, will have the closing ribbon. So it will be right here. Okay, let's go ahead and prepare this for the top stitching. Okay, use coordinating threads. Make sure that the thread that if you changed it up from the inside, make sure it matches with your outer fabric, okay? I like to top stitch on the top of my fabric. If you prefer to do a top stitching from this way, go ahead. But I like to do a top stitching from the outside, okay? And all I'm doing is I'm using a 1/8 inch seam allowance going right around this entire rectangle. That's it. How awesome is that? When I thought about doing this project, I was thinking about when I was younger and we had to cover textbooks, but we used paper bags, brown paper bags. We used to draw on them. I just want to show you that this is going to slide right in, slides right in. There's room here. So there's room here so that when you're opening and closing, you know, I just adjusted the book here, but there's room so that when you're opening and closing, the interior of the flap, you see this right here, there's space here. Enough space where when you're shifting that book back and forth, the cover won't be so tight, okay? But good enough, you know, that you can put a thicker book like this, you know, into this size of a book cover. And so that's it. How awesome is that, right? Like such a quick project that you can actually do for anyone. This is something that you can pull together really quickly. You can personalize it if you want it for a journal. Choose some cool, funky fabric, okay? If you want it just, you know, for a regular book, you know, and not, oh, that's upside down. I guess, you know, that's the only thing about, you know, if you use a print that doesn't have a pattern, you just won't know when you're, you know, lifting the book from the top or the bottom. So, all right, guys, so that's all for now. You know what to do. Leave me a message if you have any questions or comments, and I'm going to see you back here for the next video. Okay? Thanks for watching.